Hello, friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. All right, so as you can hear, my voice is getting a little better. It's still a little raspy from the other night, but I suspect that by the time Halloween comes around, it'll be back to normal so I can completely trash it again. So we're on the mend on that. I got a couple of just little tasks I got to run today. First off, right before I moved out of my house in California, the computer monitor on my main computer was starting to get a little flaky. And by the time it got here, it didn't work at all. I think with these flat screen computer monitors, I think there's an issue in the power supply that they sometimes have to give it a little extra oomph of power to get the monitor to light up initially the first time. And I think over time, that power supply kind of got weakened to the point where it was having trouble doing it. A lot of times I'd turn the monitor on early on, before I moved, and it wouldn't come on. And I'd turn it off, turn it back on again. It wouldn't come on, turn it off, turn it back on again. And then it would come on and it'd be fine. Well, once I got here to Texas, it wouldn't come on at all, no matter how many times I power cycled it. So I went and got a new monitor right then and there. And honestly, the old monitor's been sitting on the floor in here for a long time. So today what we're going to do is we're going to just take it over to a e-waste recycling center. Now there's all sorts of them all over in Texas, but unfortunately, it seems for some reason most of them are closed on Mondays. I don't know why that is. And they got something here called an eco ATM, which they put like in grocery stores. It's like an ATM, and you can put like cell phones and maybe pads in them, but it's never going to deal with a computer monitor. So I got to go with an actual place that will take electronic waste that's bigger than a cell phone or a tablet. So it says on the list that I have that Office Depot does home waste or deals with e-waste. So I'm going to try going over there, see if they'll take my computer monitor back. Otherwise, we'll have to try something again tomorrow. Second of all, I have a hand-knitted blanket that was like an Afghan, if you will, that was made by my great aunt who passed away a number of years ago. There was an interesting story about this. My grandmother, the one who passed away right before September 11th, and I told you her story on September 11th this year and how I missed her funeral because of what happened on 911. She had a whole bunch of wool that she was going to knit into blankets, and I guess she never got to doing it. So when she passed away, my great aunt took over the task of knitting these into Afghans for each of her four grandchildren, each of my grandmother's four grandchildren. And I've had that one for a long time. And at one point I had it sitting on a chair here, and I guess one of the cats decided to use it as a litter box and peed all over it. And so I took that into a cleaner the other day. I wasn't sure how to clean it myself because, I didn't want to risk throwing it in the wash and having it be destroyed. So I figured, I'm going to take it over to a cleaner and have them deal with it. Well, it's supposed to be ready to be picked up today. So I want to go check it out and go get that back. And maybe I'll show you that. After that, I think what I'm going to do, for the last couple times I've done live streams, people keep asking me, what kind of movies I'm into. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to literally walk you through my DVD and Blu-ray collection and, comment on some of my favorite movies, kind of give you a little idea of who I am, what I like, and the type of movies that I enjoy. So let's get going with this. All right, we tried that and that didn't work. They do a certain level of recycling, but I'm not looking to spend any money. And basically what they do is they will sell you a box that I could put my monitor in, and then they will ship it to someone else. I'm not, like I said, I don't want to spend any money to get rid of these things. I just want to basically bring it in, drop it off, and leave it with them. So I think we'll have to go back tomorrow and find some of the actual recycling centers that are open and bring it into them. I also discovered in terms of picking up for the blanket for the Afghan that I can't do that until after 4, and it's 2 o'clock now. So we'll still try and do that later on today. It's just I'm gonna have to do that in a second trip. All right, so yeah, I have a pretty impressive collection of DVDs and Blu-rays. Actually, for a long time, I had just a collection or a series of different DVD racks I stored stuff on, and at one point decided I was outgrowing the rack space I had. And as I've mentioned before, I do a little bit of woodworking, so this was actually one of my first woodworking projects. I built this DVD rack. It's basically just made out of plywood that's nailed and glued together and all that, but it's done pretty well. The only mistake I made is I didn't really make it big enough, because as you can see, I've already sort of outgrown it again. And kind of what I'm doing now is I actually have two sets of DVD collection, because what I do is I have my active ones, my active DVDs and Blu-rays, which I keep down here on the shelf, and then usually in the closet in the bedroom, I'll have another smaller shelf or just even stacks of DVDs that are kind of ones I want to keep, but don't watch all the time, and so don't want to have them out all the time. So that's kind of how I'm controlling the size at this point. Now, some people might ask, well, there's so many streaming services out here. Why don't you just go and stream? And it's like, well, part of the problem, and I do have some streaming services, but part of the problem that comes with that is, not every movie is on every streaming service. So you end up having to subscribe to 10 or 20 different streaming services to get everything. And eventually you get like one or two, of them out there that you're paying for that maybe only have one or two movies you're interested in. And you're paying for a service just for those couple movies. It's just a lot easier, I think, for me to have physical copies of the things. There's also an added problem that you run into with streaming, and that is you lose complete access to your entertainment system if the internet goes down. So, you know what? I kind of just prefer to keep hard copies. Maybe I'm a little old-fashioned that way. I'm the same way with CDs. I do have, I can stream music through the internet, but once again, the internet goes down, you lose all your content. Now, the truth is, all of my CDs are still in the storage locker, and but that isn't quite the same thing, because I've got all the stuff that I really, really like to on either on my cell phone or on iPod. So I have access to it, even if I lose internet, it's still there on the phone. So anyway, let's go through some of this stuff, and I'll show you my DVD collection and talk to you about some of my favorite movies and TV shows. And of course, any collection for me would have to start with the A-Team box set. This is a very cool box set because it's shaped like BA's van. It has all the characters in it, and then you open up the back and all the DVDs are inside. So that's a very cool thing. I like that. So we're just going to start right at the beginning. 2001, 2010, those are good. 300, about the Spartans. This was a movie. 911 was actually, there was a film crew out shooting a documentary about firefighters on September 11th, and actually caught one of the only known pieces of footage of the first plane hitting the first tower. And this is a whole documentary. If you have never seen this, you ought to check this out. That's amazing. The Abyss, actually, that was a movie I couldn't stand when I saw it in the theater, because I don't know, it was such a great buildup, and then at the end you get this big pink city come out of the ocean. It's like, oh man, that's horrible. What a horrible ending. But this was a director's edition, and it came out, and I thought it covered some of the holes better. Addams Family, the entire TV series, that's great. The first Addams Family movie. Air Force One with Harrison Ford. Alice Cooper, of course, I like Alice Cooper. Alice in Chains, another great band from Seattle. Aliens, Almost Famous, that was a really good one. The American Pie series, Alien versus Predator, I don't know, I got that one kind of on a whim, just because I thought maybe it'd be good. It wasn't as good as I thought it would be. Altered States is a classic. Amadeus, Animal House, American Carol, that's kind of a funny movie. American Werewolf in London, Apollo 13, yeah, not really that into that one. That one's okay. Armageddon, that was one of two movies about asteroids hitting Earth and the Earth's attempt to fight back. The A-Team movie, not really that impressed about that. The Atlas Shrugged series, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, classic cult film. Avatar, the original Avengers movie, all three of the Austin Powers movies. Never really got into that either. I bought that kind of as a recommendation from other people, and I don't know, I've never really even been able to make it through all three of the movies. Back to the Future, Backdraft, Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield, classic. Barton Fink, classic movie. Battle Los Angeles. I love science fiction and war movies, so that's classic. Beetlejuice, the Beatles anthology DVD series, that was good. Beavis and Butthead, the Michael Judge collection, because that's cool, man. And the Beavis and Butthead Do America, that's good. Being John Malkovich, that's a classic movie. Have you ever seen that? It's a story about a bunch of people that find a portal into the mind of John Malkovich, and you can actually be John Malkovich for 15 minutes. Bela Lugosi collection, Big Lebowski, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, definitely a classic, got to get that one. Billy Madison by Adam Sandler, Blazing Saddles, I actually got that one after Jordan and I visited the Blazing Saddles filming locations. That was a good one. Kind of like Blue Man Group, so I got that. Got a couple of their concert videos. Blue Velvet, Dennis Hopper, classic. Blues Brothers, another one that's you really want to look. It's great music. It's Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, and of course I'm way into James Bond, so that's something my dad and I got into together because he was into James Bond and I got into him. So I got basically the whole collection of James Bond movies. Now, a lot of people ask the question, well, who's your favorite James Bond? And I kind of gravitate back and forth between Sean Connery and Roger Moore. Right now, I think I'm more of a Roger Moore fan, just because these were the first ones, the first James Bond movies I ever saw. It was like Live and Let Die and For Your Eyes Only and Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker. Moonraker is still my all-time favorite James Bond movie. But yeah, go all the way through the Daniel Craig stuff. That's the video that I showed you a few days ago of Beth and I bungee jump. Well, I guess that was a couple months ago. I showed you the bungee jumping video. That was where that all came from. Butterfly Effect. That was a pretty cool movie. There's actually two endings on that one, and I actually like the extended version ending actually a little better. Caddyshack, classic. You got to have that one if you love comedy. Captain America and Captain America Civil War, both good movies. Carlito's Way, love that one. Classic, Robert De Niro. Carrie, Sissy Spacek, Stephen King movie. Cheech and Chong, gotta have those, right? Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase, classic movie. Christmas with the Cruises, that's the movie that Jordan's in. You ought to all get that one if you ever get a chance, because that's a classic movie also. Kronos, that's an IMAX movie. Circuit is a DVD, kind of a collection of, it's like a DVD magazine, talking about different bands and showing them some of the stuff that they've done. City Slickers, that one's a great one. Clerks 2, that's in the Jay and Silent Bob series with Kevin Smith. Clockwork Orange, classic. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Cocoon. Core, that was a good movie. Cowboys and Aliens, I really like that one. I hated the title. It sounds like a stupid title, right? But it's a great movie. Footage of the band The Cramps playing in a mental hospital. That's great if you're into punk rock. Crocodile Dundee. The Crow, Dante's Peak. Dave, that's a good movie. Dawn of the Dead, that's the remake with Vig Rhames. I love the original Dawn of the Dead, and I actually like this one better. That's one of the few times I think that the remake is better, because I think it's a scarier one. In the original Dawn of the Dead movie, the zombies just kind of walked along. These ones, they chase you and they run. It's a terrifying movie. Dazed and Confused, good one. Dead Poets Society, classic Robin Williams. Stephen King's Dead Zone, good one. Original Death Race 2000, that's Roger Corman. You ought to check that out if you ever get a chance. Let's see, what is that? Dead Kennedys, that's a couple of concert footage discs. Deep Impact, that's another one of those asteroid hitting the Earth movies. Devil and Daniel Johnston, classic documentary about recently deceased artist Daniel Johnston. Devo, I'm a huge Devo fan, so I got a couple of Devo videos. Got to go move to the next shelf though. Another Devo one. This is a bunch of the music videos. Die Hard 1, 2, 3, and 4. All of them are good in their own way. Clint Eastwood, the Dirty Harry series, the entire series, very good. District 9, you know, it sounded better than I think it actually turned out to be. It was kind of boring. Dr. Detroit, that's kind of a fun movie with Dan Aykroyd. Dr. Horrible's sing-along vlog, that was just a little internet short that was produced, and it has Neil Patrick Harris playing a evil scientist who's trying to be accepted. Kind of a funny little musical. Dogma, another Kevin Smith one. That's probably my favorite Kevin Smith movie. Donnie Darko. I like that movie, but I still don't understand that one entirely yet. I gotta watch that one a few more times. The Doors, Doctor Strangelove, that's a classic. Dracula, you know, I sometimes watch that. I like vampire movies, so try and catch that one. Dragon, that's the Bruce Lee story. This is Dudley Do-Right. It's something I found in a grocery store in the $2.99 rack, and it's actually really funny. It's got the original cartoon, and then it's got some like outtakes of the guy who did the voice. When he do the TV show, they do like little outtakes and like live action stuff. And yeah, he got a little blue on some of that stuff. Not really appropriate for a children's TV show, but kind of funny anyway. Dumb and Dumber, the original. Dusk Till Dawn, that's Quentin Tarantino. And Robert Rodriguez, that's a vampire pick, so that's a good one. A box set of Ed Wood movies, so all the good ones. Night of the Ghouls, Glenda, Pride of the Monster, Plan 9, Jailbait. And then, of course, I got the Ed Wood Tim Burton movie. Edward Scissorhands, Enter the Void. That's a creepy movie if you ever get a chance to see that. I was a huge fan of the TV series Entourage, so I got the whole series there, plus the movie. Definitely worth a look if you're into that. It was a story about a Hollywood celebrity and his group of friends and kind of the things that go on as he becomes an actor and becomes famous and becomes a superstar and all the ups and downs and stuff like that. Eraserhead, David Lynch. That was actually cool. I think Jordan's talked on a couple of occasions where he's met David Lynch out on Hollywood Boulevard, and he was sitting out there in a lawn chair with a cow, and basically he got me my Eraserhead disc autograph for me. So that's kind of cool. I like that one. E.T. the Extraterrestrial. I always loved that movie. That was one of my favorite movies when that movie came out, and you know, it's still kind of a cute tearjerker movie. Exorcist, classic. Falling Down, you know, Michael Douglas, classic. Fahrenheit 451, Fargo, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. That's a classic, of course. I love that one. Jeff Spicoli. Hey, dude, let's party. And Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. That's another Johnny Depp movie. Ferris Bueller, Final Countdown. Fisher King, that's a good one. That's a Terry Gilliam and Jeff Daniels and Robin Williams, classic. Forbidden Zone, that's Richard Elfman. Richard Elfman is brother of Danny Elfman. Danny Elfman is now a famous film composer, and he was a lead singer of the band Oingo Boingo. And this was a movie he did back in the early 80s, very good one. Forrest Gump, you've all heard of that. Freaks, classic, One of Us. Fright Night, another vampire pick. Galaxy Quest, great movie. That's or kind of a rip-off on Star Trek, but it's kind of a parody version of that. A very good movie. Ghostbusters 1 and 2, of course. Gladiator, good movie. Glory, that was a movie about the 1st Black Regiment in the Civil War. Very good movie. Goodfellas, Goonies, The Graduate, Green Lantern, Green Mile, Planet Doom, and Death Proof. I actually like Death Proof better. That's a Quentin Tarantino movie. Groove Tube, kind of a Kentucky Fried Movie type clip movie of funny little clips things. We'll get into some of my Guided by Voices stuff. It's a live concert. This is the Electrifying Conclusion. They did this on New Year's Eve 2004. I was actually at that show, and if you ever get a chance to see this movie. I'm actually all over the DVD because I was right there in the front row, so I'm on camera a lot. More guided by voices, more guided by voices, guided by voices. A couple of live guided by voices shows. Sorry, every once in a while I gotta turn off the camera and move over because I'm starting to lean over. I'm gonna fall over on my side. Silence of the Lambs and the sequel, Hannibal, Happy Gilmore, Harry Potter series, all 8 of them. Jimi Hendrix concert disc. Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. Definitely, not for the faint of heart. Mel Brooks, History of the World, Hudsucker Proxy. I love that one. Classic Coen Brothers movie. You ever get a chance with that? That's a great movie. Human Centipede, another one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. Hunt for Red October, a collection of IMAX movies that I really like. Independence Day, that's with Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith battling aliens that have come to attack the Earth. Indiana Jones 1, 2, and 3. So Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade. I didn't like the Crystal Skull one, so I've never gotten that movie. Innocent Blood, just watched that one the other night. That's a great vampire pick by the same people that did American Werewolf in London. Inside Out, Pixar. I, Robot, that's an entertaining sci-fi movie. Interview with a Vampire, I don't know, that's one that I've liked better in the past, but it's another vampire picture. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, this is one I got kind of on Jordan's request. Jordan was a huge Invasion of the Body Snatchers fan, and in fact became friends with Kevin McCarthy later on. Kevin McCarthy actually did the voiceover on a couple of tracks on one of Jordan's CDs. Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, great one. Jackass movies, yeah, that one's the ones you gotta take with a grain of salt. It's kind of gross a little bit, but also kind of funny if you like watching people get hurt. Jackie Brown, another classic Quentin Tarantino movie. Jaws, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. That's another Kevin Smith movie. A Jeff Dunham disc. He's that comedian the comedian and ventriloquist. Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, California with Brad Pitt and Juliette Lewis and David Duchovny. Kentucky Fried Movie, Kill Bill 1 and 2, a collection of Stephen King movies, Silver Bullet, Dead Zone, Graveyard Shift, and Pet Sematary. A movie called Quantascazzi. That's just kind of one that you have to see to believe. La Femme Nikita, that's a French language film based on a street thug who's given a choice. You're either going to be executed for your crimes or you can become a spy. Well, she chooses to become a spy. It's actually a very entertaining movie. It's in French, so you got to be able to be ready to watch, to read subtitles. Lawnmower Man's, whatever. That was one that was another Stephen King book, and in this case, the movie had nothing to do whatsoever with the book. They completely changed the story. Little Shop of Horrors, that's Rick Moranis and Ellen Greene. And Little Shop of Horrors, sorry, I locked up on the name there, but that's Rick Moranis, Ellen Greene, and Vincent Gardenia. Great movie. It's a musical. Lion King, Logan's Run, great sci-fi flick. Looney Tunes collection, Lost Boys, another vampire pick. National Lampoon's Lost Reality. That's just watch that if you ever get a chance. Mallrats, another Kevin Smith, Jay and Silent Bob kind of movie. Man in the Moon, that's Jim Carrey playing Andy Kaufman. Married with Children, love all the Married with Children. Original Martian Chronicles, Mars Attacks. I got a Marvel collection that has all the original X-Men movies as well as a couple others. Matrix movies. One of my favorite TV series of all time, Max Headroom, the TV show. Unfortunately, that only lasted for one season. Memphis Belle, Menace to Society, classic gangland kind of movie. Love that movie. Me, Myself, and Irene, that's Jim Carrey again. Men in Black 1, 2, and 3. Miracle Mile, you may remember Jordan and I did a vlog on the Miracle Mile filming locations. One of seasons 1 and 2 of the Monkees TV series. I think that was something I found in a DVD store for in the discount rack for $3. Monty Python, so Meaning of Life, Holy Grail, Now for something completely different in Life of Brian. To those of you who admire my kind of deadpan humor, yeah, now you know where that came from. My Favorite Martian, that's a classic movie with Bill Bixby and Ray Walston. My Super Ex-Girlfriend, that's Uma Thurman, classic movie, really funny. Natural Born Killers, Oliver Stone. A lot of people don't know this, but that was written by Quentin Tarantino, and I guess Quentin Tarantino absolutely hates how the movie turned out. Night of the Living Dead, that's the original black and white version. Nightmare Before Christmas. Nightmare on Elm Street 1, 2, 3, and 4, all classic Freddy Krueger, yes. Nirvana, the Nomi song, that's Klaus Nomi, very interesting opera singer slash new wave singer in the early 80s. He was one of the first celebrities to die of AIDS. Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, Oingo Boingo, that was a concert. And The Omen, one of my favorite movies of all time, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Outbreak, that's Dustin Hoffman and Rene Russo and Morgan Freeman. It's an okay movie. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, classic. People vs. Larry Flint, some couple of Pink Floyd albums. The remake of Piranha, this is one of the few cases I think where a remake was better than the original. Alive, Pixies disc, because I'm into the Pixies. The Player, that's a Robert Altman picture with a whole bunch of cameos. A story about a movie company executive who commits a murder and gets away with it and all that's kind of a funny, ironic movie. All 4 Police Academy movies. Poltergeist, you may remember Jordan and I did a vlog on the Poltergeist house. I really love the fact that I actually got to go visit that house. That was actually, I think, one of my requests that we go do that. So Porky's, classic coming of age movie. Predators, I like the original Predator best. Predators, I don't know. I gave it a shot just because I liked the movie, but it wasn't anywhere as good as the original. Howard Stern's Private Parts. Prometheus, that's sort of a prequel to Aliens. Pulp Fiction, another Quentin Tarantino. Pump Up the Volume, kind of like that movie. A collection of Gilda Radner bits, I kind of like her stuff. Rain Man with Dustin Hoffman, Tom Cruise. Raising Arizona, First Blood 1, 2, and 3. Love those. The Rapture, that's another kind of creepy movie. This is Ready Player One. That was something that recently came out. And I kind of saw it one day at work. And I said, wow, that's a really good movie. So I decided to go do that one. Reanimator, one of my favorite horror movies because it's got Jeffrey Combs in it. Reefer Madness, that's a good funny movie. REM disc, Ren and Stimpy collection, a couple seasons of that. Reservoir Dogs, more Quentin Tarantino. Another circuit disc. This one's on a band called The Residents, and I got a couple of Residents discs here. They're an interesting band out of San Francisco. Return of the Living Dead. Jordan and I actually visited the UNITA medical supply store in one of the vlogs. That was another one of the ones he let me request. Revenge of the Nerds. Of course, we hit all the Revenge of the Nerds filming locations when we were going on our trip here to Texas. Rise of the Planet of the Apes. That one's very entertaining. Rick and Morty. That's a cartoon animated series that a friend of mine gave me. RoboCop, Robot Chicken. That was something on Comedy Central that was by Seth Green. There was a bunch of little short clips of animated clips like stop motion kind of stuff. The Rock, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Of course, we just saw Jordan do his vlog on that a few days ago. San Andreas, it's an entertaining movie, but not really scientifically accurate. San Andreas is not going to break between Los Angeles and San Francisco, and even if it did, it's not going to create a tsunami that wipes out San Francisco. School of Rock, great movie. Scrooged, Bill Murray. Like I said, I like just about anything Bill Murray is in. Serial Mom, John Waters, classic movie. I love that one. Really, really funny in kind of a dark way. Shawshank Redemption, another Stephen King movie, which is really good. The Shining, another Stephen King movie, of course. Shock Treatment, that's the sequel to Rocky Horror. So yeah, I got that too. Short Circuit, yeah, is one of those movies I was into more in the past. Collection of Sick and Twisted animation. A couple of Simpsons seasons, because I was into them for a while, but even kind of got burned out on them. Sixth Sense, that's a classic Bruce Willis ghost story. Very cool movie. Sneakers, one of those movies that I was more into in the past. A couple of Sonic Youth movies, because I'm into that band. South Park, I'm way into South Park, so I got a lot of South Park. See, South Park just goes on and on and on and on. Even then, I got a little bit burned out on them. Soylent Green, classic movie about, Soylent Green, it's people. Spaceballs, Mel Brooks, great comedy movie. Species, good scary alien movie. Speed, that's Keanu Reeves and Dennis Hopper. They're both great in that. Spider-Man, that's a couple of different versions of it. Spinal Tap, classic movie. Ever get a chance to see that? Jordan met a couple of the characters at one of the conventions he went to a while back. Stephen King, classic TV miniseries called The Stand. That was a good one too. I really like that. A lot of great actors in that. Stand By Me, another Stephen King. Starship Troopers, good gory science fiction alien movie. In this case, we invade them, not the other way around. A couple of the original Star Trek movies, Wrath of Khan and The Voyage Home. I love those. Star Trek Generations, First Contact, Insurrection, Nemesis, and the first two reboot movies. Those were all pretty good. As well as a collection of Star Trek The Next Generation TV series. Then we get into Star Wars, and I got all those. As Disney's gotten in and done the last two, I think they've basically almost killed the franchise, but I still have the movies. Strange Days, that's an interesting movie about people who have the ability to project images into people's mind using like a playback device, and it starts going all wrong. Superbad, that's kind of a millennial generation's version of like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Superman 1, 2, 3, and 4. All four of them are pretty good. I like the first two best. Team America, World Police, that's more from the South Park guys. Teen Wolf, Michael J. Fox on that. Terminator 1, 2, 3, and 4. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, original version, great movie. That Thing You Do, Jordan and I did filming locations of that at one point. They Live, I know Jordan just recently did a They Live filming locations, and I think that's the second one of those he's done. Three Kings, Three Stooges, got to have a Three Stooges collection, right? Time After Time, that was an interesting movie. Titanic, Tommy from The Who, Total Recall, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Toy Story 1, 2, and 3, True Grit with Jeffrey Daniels, True Lies, Schwarzenegger, True Stories, that's a Talking Heads movie. Truman Show with Jim Carrey, that's probably, I think, one of my favorite movies of his. A collection of Twilight Zone episodes. Twin Peaks, that's the full TV series and the movie. Twister with Helen Hunt, Under Siege 1 and 2. V and V The Final Battle, those are both TV miniseries. The three vacation movies with Chevy Chase. Volcano with Tommy Lee Jones, that was great. Wag the Dog, great movie. Walk the Line, that's Johnny Cash. War Games with Matthew Broderick. Warriors, John Waters, that's Pink Flamingos, Female Trouble, Polyester, and Desperate Living. We talked about that on the live stream last week. Couple classic science fiction double feature movies, War of the Worlds and When Worlds Collide. Wayne's World, Jordan and I did a couple of vlogs on that. We went to the music store where Wayne kept obsessing over that guitar. We also went to Stan Mikita's Diner, so that was fun. A collection of Weezer music videos, Westworld with Yul Brynner, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, kind of an obscure movie with Johnny Depp and Leonardo DiCaprio. Who Framed Roger Rabbit, original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder, Wizard of Oz, a Woodstock compilation disc, and some of the X-Men First Class movies. X-Files, Young Frankenstein, and ultimately Zack and Miri Make a Porno. That's another Kevin Smith movie. All right, I got my blanket back. It still has a little bit of discoloration in the area, but the main thing I want to do is get rid of most of the discoloration and get rid of all of the smell, and there is no smell, so they did a good job. So just to make sure there isn't a repeat of this, from now on, the blanket lives in here. No cats allowed. So I hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see a list of my favorite movies and, you know, why I enjoy them and all that. I'd like to thank my latest Patreon, Callan Bailey, for becoming a Patreon. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And to the rest of you, thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.